How's it going, everyone? Jaden here, reporting from quarantine, I guess. So in the past couple of weeks, you might have seen some videos or articles about how schools had to do, virtual graduations because of the whole lockdown situation. We've seen graduations on Zoom, students' faces displayed on robots, and in my case, a Minecraft ceremony. That's right, for UC Berkeley's graduation, I logged into my old middle school Minecraft account, got onto this server called Blockly, in which the entire campus was recreated in Minecraft, and we even had our chancellor as a guest speaker, and the whole thing was live streamed and there was a concert. It was just crazy, but now that I've had this sort of anticlimactic ending to my 4 years of college, I kind of wanted to revisit this channel to talk about some of the things that I've learned, as well as, maybe find a platform for some of my interests. I think I'll explore topics like tech and finance, so if you want to see more from me, maybe stay tuned for more videos coming up. But let's start with the topic of this video, which is my experience at UC Berkeley. So the classes and activities at Cal were quite a ride for me, so whether you're interested in applying for the UCs, or you're a current student or incoming student of the UC system, or if you're just curious about what Berkeley is like nowadays, I hope this story might have some value for you. The first year is always the most exhilarating for any college experience, and I think Berkeley does a great job of getting students pumped for their first semester. So I recall the student orientation called Golden Bear Orientation, or GBO. That was a fun time. You kind of get to meet a group of freshmen like yourself. And also there are a lot of opportunities to go to like mixers and other activities. I lived in the dorm called Clark Kerr, which is one of the dorm buildings kind of off campus. All of the dorm buildings are actually off campus at UC Berkeley. I remember doing a number of like tours and other sort of student mixers where I got to meet people who lived in the same sort of unit or who lived in nearby units. And when it comes to college, you have a lot of freedom to sort of make good friends out of people that you meet. Berkeley as a city has no shortage of activities to do, and it's very active. It is a bit of a trade-off though. If you want to know what the city of Berkeley is like, it's not necessarily the safest town to live in. I actually have a story about how I actually got mugged in my first year, and my laptop was stolen. It was like $1,000 laptop, and my phone as well. Yeah, that was not the best experience. That's a bit of the nature of the trade-off for this particular college town. There's a lot of activities to do. If you cross the bay, there's SF. There's a lot of hiking places near Berkeley because it's right next to a lot of hills and places to explore. And of course, the city of Berkeley, downtown, Telegraph. There's just so many places and good food, and there's just a lot of things you can do to experience that culture of East Bay. That mugging story about my laptop might actually be a topic for another video, so give me a like to pay respects for my gaming laptop. But anyways, the first year at college is very different from all of the years, especially at Berkeley, because most freshmen are in a dorm in their first year and eventually move out afterwards. And Bay Area housing prices are not cheap, so combined with the tuition, it's definitely expensive to find a living situation in Berkeley. That's for sure. As far as making friends and having a social life, I spent a lot of my time in technical courses, so that first year is a good opportunity to really meet a lot of people, because you won't have an opportunity like that, once you're really packed with classes in future years. So really take advantage of that time, especially at Berkeley. It's not like high school, because you don't really get to see your friends every day in the classes that you take, and you don't really have a common cafeteria. Every dorm unit has their own, and sometimes people just eat out in the city of Berkeley. Make an effort to keep those relationships that you value alive. Plan to go out to eat, go to sporting events if that's your thing. There are lots of outdoor activities like hiking you could do, or even, go get boba. Berkeley has a ton of boba shops. At least in the past 4 years, when I was there must have been like 10 new boba shops that opened up. Hopefully they're not all going bankrupt during this pandemic, but just know Utah is the best one. I'm settling the score right now. That's the best one. You should definitely go to it. So let's talk about classes. I was enrolled in the College of Letters and Sciences. So if you don't know how colleges work, Essentially, majors are given out in different groups. So at Berkeley there was a engineering college and a business college, the Haas School of Business, and mine, Letters and Sciences, was kind of the most common college that a lot of students were in. They gave out majors such as economics, anthropology, and other sort of social studies. And in my case, I was kind of looking into computer science as an option. So in my first year, I was taking classes to fill requirements for both my major and my college. So LNS has 7 breadth areas, and you have to take 1 course in each breadth area. The basic computer science courses that I took were CS61A in my first semester and CS61B in my second semester, and those kind of lay the foundation for coding skills and data structures, which is a very important topic in software development. And I know a lot of self-taught developers actually reference the 61 series because there's 61A, B, and C, which is like computer architecture. And that's a great resource in case you want to check out, different projects and things like that. If you're a self-taught developer, those resources you can always check out online. And I might actually do a video on how these classes helped me get my first job in software. So in my first couple of semesters, I took these classes alongside some sort of mathematically intense ones like linear algebra and discrete math and probability, which is called CS70. These definitely took up a lot of my time and were pretty competitive. So if you decide to take this path, just know that you are going to be spending a lot of time working on homeworks and projects, a lot of time looking at a computer screen or looking at a textbook, figuring out different problems. So that's the kind of difficulty level that you might expect. And for me, 2017 was when that difficulty really started to ramp up and get to me. I nearly failed CS61B, and I had to retake CS70 a semester after I attempted to take it because it was just very intense and I wasn't really ready for it. So as a result, I really had to rethink my plans for doing the CS major. The reason why Berkeley's computer science program is so competitive is that they have a GPA requirement for all of these classes, which we call lower division. Lower division basically just means that you have to take these classes before you even enroll in the major. So Berkeley's kind of weird like that, and I really wasn't able to kind of meet that GPA requirement. As a related tip, if you are very much set on programming and you're looking at Berkeley, I would recommend the EECS program, EECS. It has a bit of an electrical engineering emphasis as well, but you still take all of these classes and there's no GPA requirement. From what I understand, it's a little harder to get into because you have to be in the College of Engineering. It's harder to get into the College of Engineering, but if you make it in that college, you can definitely pursue this track without that much stress about the major requirements. This is actually a common theme in Berkeley. There are just so many students for these classes that they have to sort of weed them out, especially if it's a competitive program. So keep that in mind. If you excel in a certain area, definitely take advantage of the resources that you can get from applying to Berkeley. It's not really something I can speak to because I haven't had that experience, but I recommend to see what other college options you'd be interested in before defaulting to Letters and Sciences. On that note, I started to look for other options in that college, and cognitive science was actually one that was very interesting to me because it has a multidisciplinary approach, and one of the disciplines is computer science, so I already had that on my belt. I was very interested in psychology, and cognitive science at Berkeley is a little different from other universities. We have to take a course in many different disciplines like philosophy, neurobiology, linguistics, which was actually pretty fun. But I'm glad I stuck with those CS fundamentals because it gave me a bit of a foundation to explore these upper division courses like algorithms, artificial intelligence, and a data science path, which was actually new to Berkeley. They added a major and a minor, and I decided to add on a data science minor to my cognitive science major. Looking back on my education, I think my advice to someone who's still taking classes would be that in any class, whether it's humanities or technically focused, it's always good to get in the habit of meeting people you're taking your classes with, going to office hours, and forming study groups. These are habits that I didn't realize were going to be that important in a big university like Berkeley, and I think they're just important overall, just getting to know your professors, getting to know fellow students. Big classes usually have discussion groups where they meet every week and you get to interact in a smaller group. Professors also have their own office hours as well as instructors for each discussion group. So don't do what I did and try to go it alone, especially in these big classes. get to know your professors, go to these office hours, because you're essentially paying them to be there to help you. So definitely take advantage of those resources. And with the virus causing a global pandemic in my last semester, I would say that my motivation kind of faltered a little with online classes. You know, it's different for everyone, but I would definitely recommend, you know, going in person, going to lectures, even if it's optional, and taking those notes in class. Maybe check out resources online. You know, it depends on your professor and it depends on the curriculum you're studying. So keep it in mind as these online classes continue into the fall. Hopefully not for too long. Boy, was I wrong about that. It's December now and their online classes are still going strong, but make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for part 2, where I conclude my thoughts and talk about student groups at Cal.